Alright, welcome to another video. Thanks so much for tuning in. This week I want to talk about chords, a simple exercise which can help you not to get stuck in a certain arrangement. I very often get stuck in one particular type of arrangement, like one way I learned a tune, and very often that's the kind of most basic way I learned it, and it tends to be also in kind of one area of the neck. Let's say, for example, There Will Never Be Another You. I learned a tune like probably many people, like first chord, E flat major 7, 2 bars, and then, and for years every time I played it, I would kind of play it exactly that way, and it would be really hard for me to get out of that. Maybe if I played with a band I would use a more ambiguous voicing, but most of the time I would do exactly that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are good sounding chords. They are root-based voicings, meaning like they have the root in the bass, so they're kind of clear and obvious. But the problem is not with those chords, the problem is with me not having another way to play it. Very similar, if I played a blues in B flat, I would always start with this chord and immediately go to this and back to that. And again, nothing wrong with this chord. Those chords sound great, especially like on a nice kind of acoustic guitar. The problem is more like that I stuck here, and for one chorus that might not be an issue, but very often in jazz you play more than one chorus, and not only do you get bored yourself, it's also not a huge variety if you just keep playing the same thing in kind of the same location. You sometimes want to go into a certain direction, interacting, bringing something else to the table, stuff like this. So how do we do that with an exercise that kind of forces us to go through different avenues in a kind of methodical way, so we can just do it and it will get us there eventually. The exercise, I've been told this exercise many times and I've forgot it pretty much as many times as well, but now it's finally in my routine for a while now, and it really helped me. It's similar to kind of the doing scales across the neck. I have a video up there a while back, but this one starts with a similar idea that we start from the lowest point of our guitar to the highest and back again. And we try to go with kind of correct voice leading, so to speak. So we try to go always to the next closest possible chord. So let's take the example of a blues in B flat. Okay, B flat 7. B flat 7 is our first chord. That means we have the notes B flat, D, B flat, D, F, and A flat. If you look at those 4 notes, the lowest possible note on our guitar is F, okay? So we go, in this case I use drop 2 voicings, you can use whatever you want. I go to the drop 2 voicing of B flat 7 with the F in the bass. This one here, okay? Obviously, for this exercise, it's advisable that you have the inversions of whichever arrangement, whichever set of chords you go through, like drop 3, drop 2 and 3, before we close. Whatever you do, it's advisable to know those inversions quite well, because otherwise this is going to be really difficult. So I'm starting from this here, F at the bass, B flat 7. Now, you can put the metronome on later on, but if you do it the first time, maybe count yourself, like just a 1, 2, 3, 4. E flat 7 is coming up. So now E flat 7 are the chords E flat, G, B flat, and D flat. We look at the next closest note of those 4, which is G, okay? So our next close voicing is here. So our first chord change suddenly from 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, going to the next possible, which is, next chord is B flat 7. Closest note from G is A flat, the 7th. Or flat 7th in this case. Now we're here, next chord is B flat again, B flat 7. This very simple like root voicing of B flat 7, drop 2. Then after that we have E flat 7, again like bar 5 of the blues. Now we are already on the note B flat, which is technically a note of E flat, so you could stay there and go for the E flat voicing with the 5th, this one here. But I kind of want to go further up, I want to go up all the way. So I go from B flat, I go to the next possible note of E flat 7, which is like a D flat. You can also do that here. On which parts you kind of change set of strings, kind of up to you, as long as you go further up. So now we're here at D flat, from an E flat 7. Next chord, depending how you play it, I play an E diminished chord here, which kind of would be that root, but I go hard to E, next possible E. From E, next closest note from B flat 7, which is the next chord, is F. Then we have G7. Then we have C minor 7, here with the flat 7 in the bass. Then we have F7. And then we have to turn around at the end, which is B flat 7, G7, C minor 7, F. Okay. Then obviously after that you can try to do the whole thing in time. If you did that once, you can 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I went all the way up, all the way down in time, and then a little turnaround at the end. So this kind of will force you, if you go through a couple of courses of this, it will force you into a different, slightly different avenue, slightly different part of the neck all the time, which is a really good way of kind of knowing all the chords, all the inversions, all the points of kind of difficulty very thoroughly. Obviously, this is blues, you can do that with way more complex tunes. I lately did it a good bit over Giant Steps, because Giant Steps has all these chords at the start, which lends it to, at least for me, to kind of learn an arrangement again, to learn something like, and always being stuck in this progression. So I tried the same thing. I went to the lowest kind of start of Giant Steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Okay, up and down, same kind of system. For myself, I kind of try to go always to the next one. You could totally stay on a common note. That's not wrong. That's cool. I feel sometimes there's a lot of common notes though, and you get stuck in one place. So I always try to move up. I try to get my fingers and my brain moving. It just makes you go through a lot of places you're kind of uncomfortable with or don't want to go through, which is a really cool thing for your practice. And you will see if you do that into your routine for a couple of weeks, couple of months, you will be way more fluent with whatever type of voicing you're working on, whatever type of tune. So whenever I learn a tune, that's one of my go-to things to do in terms of learning the chords. Thanks so much for checking out this video again. Thanks so much for all the people who subbed. Really enjoying this lately. I hope to keep it up on the regular, and thanks for all your support. Makes me really happy. See you in the next one. Cheers.